This is a high level course, okay? Yo, what up, learning losers? It's Arb Dog. Sorry, it's Arb Dog. And yeah, I'm here. Can you freaking believe it? After like a year or something. And I'm back with the most interesting thing of all, physics. I actually really like physics, okay? And that's what this video is about. It's about, the nerdy things that happen inside my head. And it's also about answering your question, the long unanswered question of why am I even learning this? Well, I'm not going to use this in real life. I guess that's like a question and a statement, but you know what I mean. The question being, like, which of these things that we learn in grade school are actually going to be applicable to, real life, adult life. And I'm here to tell you guys that a lot of them are actually applicable to real life. And that's what this video is going to go over. Okay, and of course, like always, before we get started, make sure you guys subscribe, okay? Bah, bah, bah. Thanks. Okay, now we can get started. The moment of truth here, guys. What is the physics term that lives rent-free in my head? And it is, drum roll please. Is somebody gonna give me a drum roll? Momentum. Yes, the term is momentum, okay? P equals mv, P equals mass times velocity. Momentum equals mass times velocity. There, you guys have learned all about it. No, but seriously, I am going to teach you guys about that term and like why it's applicable to life and why I think about it all the time. So buckle your freaking horses because we're about to get into some math, okay? Because physics is math. P equals M V. But guys, the thing about momentum is that we need to first learn about mass and velocity, and to learn about those things you got to learn about some other things, okay? So I'm going to take you through some learnings real quick, okay? And we're going to use the perfect example of car crashes. We love to hate them, but they truly are a great example for teaching momentum and velocity and several other things that will be coming your way for other terms that live rent-free in my head. Other like physics terms that live rent-free in my head, okay? But that's for another time. But the car crashes, they're for this time and so many other times, okay? So, car crashes. Okay guys, so like I mentioned, before we can talk about momentum, we have to be able to talk about the other two parts of that, which are mass and velocity, okay? So here we have the equation, right? So we'll start with mass, because mass is, quicker to talk about, okay? For our purposes here, wait, why don't I just learn how to clear a screen real quick? Okay, awesome. I learned how to clear a screen. So, yeah, so mass, for all intents and purposes today, is just going to be defined as the weight of something, okay? Now, mass can have other terms, definitions, like especially in chemistry and stuff like that, but we don't need to know that. For today, all we need to know that it's like the weight of an object, okay? Now, velocity. That one is going to be a little bit more complicated, but velocity is the distance that an object travels over, that it travels in a certain direction over a period of time. Okay? Now, you might be like, what the frick does that mean, right? And I don't blame you. So the thing is, velocity is something different than speed, okay? Velocity does not equal speed, but they are very similar, okay? So speed would just be the distance that an object travels over time, but no direction, okay? So that's a difference. So basically, like, if a car is going, it's a hat car, okay? If this little vehicle is moving, well, let's see here, from x1 to x2, okay, this place and this place, that distance, let's call that distance 10 meters, okay? And it only takes the vehicle 3 seconds to move 10 meters. Basically, this is, if we can tell, this is the distance, and this is the time. Can anyone guess what, oh my lord, oh my god, can anyone guess what the answer will be? You're right, it's 10, oops. Oh, we got, okay, it would be like, technically it'd be like 10 meters over 3 seconds, but we need to make that into like an actual number. So 10 divided by 3, anybody? Let's find out. Ten divided by 3 equals 3.3 meters per second. Alright, that's our speed. Now, that in velocity basically would just be like, 3.3 meters per second, towards freaking east or something, okay? If that mattered in the equation. So, there you go. Now we know what velocity is, and now we can move on to momentum, okay? We can get into the car crashes. So, momentum equals, what the hell am I doing? P is momentum, okay? Here, let's write that down. So then P equals mv, okay? So, if we have this knowledge, we'll know that momentum is going to be something that involves mass, and also like mass of an object, and also the velocity of an object. So we can define momentum as mass in motion or an object in motion. So now we can get into an example of it, and then, that'll kind of tell you why I think about momentum so often. Okay. So basically, if we have, like, let's say you're driving or you're thinking about a vehicle, right? Sometimes I will think about, crashing. Not in a depressing way, okay? But sometimes if it's like wintertime out like it is right now, even though it's like October 26th, okay? I will think about the impact that would have on my vehicle, okay? And you might think about, the effect of those impacts, right? Like, people seem to get a lot more injured when involved in a vehicle accident as opposed to just like a bike accident, right? And so the reason for that is literally the difference in the object's mass, right? So a bicycle has a much lower mass than a vehicle. The same can be said for smaller vehicles versus bigger vehicles. If a semi-truck crashes, that impact is going to be a lot more than just a car, okay? Now, this is getting into some other stuff as well, like a different physics law that is always in my head as well, but this will be enough to explain at least the velocity portion of it, okay? So basically, I'm thinking about the consequences of if I don't slow down and I go and I crash into the wall, okay? And here's a wall, like I'm turning or something, okay? Now, what do we need to know about this vehicle? We need to know the mass. So essentially, in this case, how much it weighs. And this vehicle, I don't know, I have no idea how much vehicles weigh, but I saw an example that said 1,500 kgs, okay? I don't know. Anyway, so the second thing we need to know about the vehicle is the velocity at which it's traveling at, because this is how we're gonna get momentum. All right. Now the velocity, let's call it, it's probably, let's say it's traveling at around this bend, like 30 kilometers per hour. North. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Just dumb. Okay, Listen, I'm not trying to teach physics right now. I'm trying to explain to you why this goddamn thing is always stuck in my head, okay? So I'm not going to worry too much about the direction in which it's traveling in. But you know what direction it is traveling in? It is traveling in the direction of hitting this divider, okay? That's what it's traveling in. So there you go, okay? And now, the third thing we need to know is, of course, the momentum, because I need to know with how much, mass in motion I'm gonna hit that divider, okay? So the mass in motion with which I'm gonna hit that divider needs to be calculated now, okay? So we shall go 1,500 kg times 30 kilometers per hour, but I'm pretty sure, well, let's just do it this way. Oops. km per hour. And this gives us, not sure why I don't know how to math right now. $45,000 kilogram km per h. Oops. But anyway, one might say that the standard units are usually meters per second, which is, I guess, why I did meters per second before. So you can convert that if you'd like to, and then do the math there. But that's good enough. So that's our momentum, okay? Now, I guess technically I should get into, how that relates to this situation, because how does it help us to know the momentum of an object, in this situation? Don't we want to know what the impact is going to be once this object hits this object? And you'd be, yes. So that would be, a second physics term that lives rent-free in my head, okay? What I'm gonna say though is make sure you subscribe, because I'm gonna talk about that in the next video, and we'll pick up from where I left off here, okay? So I hope you learned something about how grade school is important in your daily life, and I hope you learned how to do math, and that's about it. Okay, bye.